Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Well, it has been a very long time since I have filmed video over here. It's been a very long time since I filmed a video on any of my channels. I think it's been like 3 or 4 weeks. So, I wasn't going to film this video today. I got up today and I was still feeling kind of weak and not feeling great, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take another day, I'm gonna take another day or two, but I keep on pushing this back. I had said that I was gonna come back middle of last week, and I think I said I was gonna come back the week before that, and so I had put out this post yesterday saying that I was gonna come out today in a video, and so I thought, okay, it's time. I've got to come back eventually and start filming videos, and there's no better time than now. So I don't really know what direction this video is gonna go in. I'm just gonna kind of tell you guys what has been going on with me and where I'm at. I will tell you first and foremost before I get into this, I'm still not feeling great. I am still feeling rather weak, and please be patient with me as I make my return back to all of my channels. My plan is by the middle of the end of the week to be posting on several of my channels, but I think today I'll just probably be posting on this channel and my vlog. So anyway, that being said, I'm going to be talking about what happened with me medically today, and I do want to kind of give not really a trigger warning, but I just, for anybody out there, you know, that is sensitive to hearing these kinds of things, I'm going to be talking about medical issues and doctors and nurses and things that have happened to me. And so if those are hard things for you to hear, I want to put that out there. First of all, I'm going to be talking about some sensitive issues, so that will be there as well. You know, before I get into this, I want to say, and I'm very emotional making this video. This has been something that has been totally unexpected that I have gone through, and something that just kind of came out of nowhere, and I feel like through it I've learned some very valuable lessons that I guess I already knew, but I didn't really expect. First of all, I just want to say, you know, like, I spent so much of the time in the last 3.5 weeks either just laying in bed or sitting on my front porch, and you know, I was so blessed to be surrounded by such a fantastic support system. Not only with the doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners that I had, which were phenomenal, but, you know, my friend Tanya, she always says, you know, as you get older, the road narrows, and the things that you knew all along become a little bit more obvious to you. And I never really, I always knew that I had a great support system around me, but it's until you go through something like this that you really realize how valuable that is. And, you know, I've always said, and I think a lot of people out there think that I have tons and tons of friends, and that's not the case. But I've always said that it's not the quantity of people that you have in your life, but it's the quality of people that you have in your life. And I just feel so blessed to have the wonderfully amazing people that I have that have helped me get through this. My husband has been absolutely fantastic through all of this. My best friend Tanya Jean has just been a godsend. My cousin Caroline has just been unbelievable. My friend Valerie and my friend Melissa have been so kind. My book club pals, Mel and Nikki, have checked in on me every single day, as have so many of you. And Troy from the Vloggerinos group has literally checked in on me every single day I get up. There's a message from him checking in to see how I'm feeling every single day. And, you know, that's kind of like my personal group around me. But one of the things I never expected, you know, I'm coming up in 2 weeks of having been on YouTube 7 years. I started my BookTube channel 7 years ago in 2 weeks. And one of the things I never expected was the relationships that I would build with people through YouTube. I never in a million years would have expected that, you know? And the overwhelming amount of love and support that I have received in the last over the entirety of my career on YouTube, but in the last 3.5 weeks, the amount of DMs that I have received on Instagram and Twitter, the amount of emails, the amount of comments I have received, I mean, people have just been overwhelmingly beautiful in sending prayers and positivity to me. And, you know, I know that we live in this world where we want to talk about parasocial relationships and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is that when I'm sitting there late at night and I'm not feeling great, you know, and my stomach's hurting and it's cramping and I'm feeling hopeless and I'm feeling useless, and to read comment after comment or DM after DM from people saying like, we miss you, we hope you get better, or take the time that you need, like, I want you to really know, like, I don't know for other people out there, I don't know for other YouTubers, but for this one, like, it really made the difference for me. It really gave me hope. It really made me feel loved. And it really made me feel that people cared about me, and it really, really meant a lot to me. And I just want you to know how grateful I am for that. I can't even begin to explain how grateful I am for that. And so many people out there shared their own medical histories with me, and what they had gone through, and what their partners and their spouses had gone through, and things like that. And so, just to read that, you know, also gave me hope. And I don't know, I think that's one of the greatest things that we can do, is to share our stories with one another, you know? So let's get to what happened. We had come back from Florida. This was around the 1st of May. I think we came back on the 2nd of, or the beginning of April. We had come back the 2nd of April, I believe. That Monday night, that Monday afternoon, I felt great, whatever. I was eating a Subway sandwich and a Veggie Delight. I'm a vegetarian. And about a half an hour or an hour after I ate it, I started feeling really sick to my stomach. Like, really, like, stomach pains. Like, I don't even really know how to explain it. It was in the middle of my stomach, and then it went around to the left side and kind of started around to my back. It didn't really start hurting my back until several days later. But at first, what I really thought was, if you're a vegetarian, you'll know what I'm talking about, is that you can get cross-contaminated sometimes. Like when you go eat places, like for example at Subway, I kind of wondered that night if maybe they hadn't changed their gloves when they had made my sandwich, and so maybe the gloves had touched meat or something like that, and I had gotten cross-contaminated and I had eaten meat byproducts. And sometimes when that happens, my stomach hurts, and typically when that happens, my stomach cramps. Like it doesn't, like I don't typically get like real nauseous, like my stomach cramps. Now, like I said, I'm going to be talking about sensitive issues in here, so whatever. I will say when I get cross-contaminated, I do typically get diarrhea. But typically my stomach cramps and then that happens. So that was Monday, I believe that was Monday night. For the next couple of days, I kind of went up and down, and in fact on my vlog I talked about it, how I felt okay, and then my stomach was hurting, and then it would, like I felt a little bit better, and then the next day I was feeling better, and in fact I think I put something out that I said like I'm feeling much better, yada yada yada, whatever. Well, Thursday, most of all day Thursday, I felt pretty good. And I was just, this is the thing, and I don't know if this is, my dad is a doctor, and so I don't know if this is the plight of being a doctor's child or not, but like I've always pushed off medical issues, you know, until they're pretty severe, because I don't really want to have to deal with them. And so I think I was kind of really like ignoring a lot of like these signs are happening and things are like pretty bad. And so Thursday, did all my stuff, filmed my vlogs and all that kind of stuff, and I was feeling better. And then early that evening, I started like really hurting, and it was in the middle of my stomach. And to be honest with you, at first, I was like, okay, I hope this isn't appendicitis. I hope that I'm not gonna have to be, you know, rushed to the hospital and have my appendix removed and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really know. I had no idea whatsoever, but I knew that I was in a lot of pain. And I was telling my husband, and he was like, I think we should go to the emergency room. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, the last thing I wanna do is go to the emergency room. And so I was calling my friend Tanya, and she was like, I think you should go to the emergency room. My cousin Caroline was like, I think you should go to the emergency room. So I think it was about 9 o'clock that night, Alex took me to the emergency room. And I have to say, like, they got us in very, very quickly. They did a CT scan, they did x-rays, they did all this kind of stuff. And they really couldn't find anything. And so, and I'm very confused. And I have to say this, just before I get into this, because I know that there's going to be a lot of doctors out there, doctors' opinions watchers, that will say, well, you said this, and then you said this, and then you said that, and whatever. You know, from doctor to doctor to doctor, and nurse practitioner to nurse, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but this has just been my experience with this. From one person to the next, I've heard very different things. So I still to this day, it's not like I have one consistent answer across the board, which is frustrating and it's hard. But I also think that that's medicine sometimes, that they just don't, there's a lot of guesswork and they don't know what's going on. So basically what they said was they diagnosed me with acute pancreatitis. And there are several different ways that you can get acute pancreatitis. One of the ways is from gallstones and having something to do with your gallbladder. When they took x-rays of and CT scans of my gallbladder, there was no issue with that. All of my organs looked great. And so there was no issue of that. I haven't drank in 28 years. A big sign of pancreatitis is people that are really heavy drinkers. I haven't drank in 28 years, so they knew that that wasn't something that they were looking for. And so they couldn't really figure out like why I was having these symptoms of pancreatitis, other than the pain that I was talking about was exactly what you would explain with pancreatitis. It was starting in the middle and it was going to the left, and then it was going around to the side to my back. The other thing was that there was, I think it's lipase levels. My lipase levels were like through the roof, and because they did blood work and all this kind of stuff. So they diagnosed me with acute pancreatitis. They told me that they thought that it would go away within a couple of days, and they said that, you know, what you can do is that you can either stay in the hospital and they can manage the pain in the hospital intravenously, and monitor it, or that I could go home and that they could give me pain medication. Okay, now I have talked about this in many of my videos. I do not love the idea of pain medication. It terrifies me, to be completely honest. If you guys know, you know that I have talked a lot about being in recovery and that I've been sober for 28 years. You know, we live in the world of what is called the United States of addiction right now, and opioid addiction. And I have had many, many friends of mine that have been diagnosed with back pain or chronic pain, that have been prescribed pain medication, that have gone back out. And by going back out, I mean they have relapsed. And some of which have died. And that's really a terrifying reality for me, is that one of my biggest fears is getting hooked on pain medication medically. And so I'm very, very resistant to that. And so it takes a small team. It takes my husband and my sponsor and the doctors to be talking closely together so that they can dole that out to me and whatever. But I also didn't want to stay in the hospital. So I was like, no, I'm going to go home and whatever. And so Alex was like, okay, and talking to my sponsor, and she approved it and was like, and the doctors approved it, and we're like, we're just going to, like, you know, dole this medicine out to him. And, you know, basically at this point what they were saying was that pain medication, rest, and relaxation is really all that you can do for this acute pancreatitis, and that, you know, it's basically an inflammation of the pancreas, and that so it would go away over, they were hoping, the next couple of days. So that was Thursday. I got home Thursday night, could not sleep at all Thursday. Friday, I was so uncomfortable. The pain probably doubled and increased in pain. Friday night, I was in so much pain. I couldn't sleep. It was unbelievable amount of pain. And so Saturday, I woke up and it was a lot of pacing and it was a lot of pain. The pain medication wasn't hitting the pain whatsoever. It wasn't doing anything for me. So I just kind of sat around and just was like, I don't really know what to do. And, you know, Alex and everybody was like, we need to go back to the emergency room. And I really didn't want to go back to the emergency room because I knew that they were going to admit me to the hospital. So finally that night, I said, okay. Alex, Tanya, my cousin, everybody was like, you've got to go back to the emergency room. So I went back to the emergency room and again, they got us in. It was a Saturday night. I was kind of surprised. They got us in rather quickly. And so when I was back there, they were like, we're not going to take these tests again because we think that we need to admit you. There's not really any way that we can monitor the pain unless we do IV pain meds and we get you into the hospital. And I was like, okay. And so I said, let's do it. I don't know what else to do. I mean, at that point, like, I was in so much pain that I didn't even know how I was going to be able to function. So I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. They got me back and they took me back to the unit and got me into a room. And then I was in the hospital for 6 days, I believe. I think it was 6 days. I was in the hospital. And I just want to say I had the most fantastic nurses and technicians. One of the things that I find though, and I found this in the emergency room, and I have found this with my doctors, and I have found this with the unit that I was on, and I found it everywhere that I had to go, is that as a person in recovery, you have to constantly be educating people on addiction and recovery. And it becomes, at some point, a little tiresome. I mean, I would say if I could give any recommendations to medical schools and nursing schools out there, please educate your people on addiction and recovery. You know, and then also in just the language that you use of people that are sober. So that was one of the things that was just a little bit frustrating, but other than that, it was an unbelievable experience. The hospital, I really didn't, I hate hospitals. I don't want to be in hospitals. But they were absolutely 100% fantastic. The nurses were unbelievable to me. The doctors were fantastic too. One of the things that it allowed by going into the hospital was that they were able to do more CT scans and x-rays and try to figure out what was really going on. And what they found was, in looking at this acute pancreatitis, which actually got worse over the next couple of days. So to put this in perspective, they had me on a ice chip diet for, I believe it was 4 or 5 days, and then a clear diet for 1 day, and then I was able to eat food for 1 day before I came home. Now, a good positive thing out of all of this is that I have lost 23 pounds since I've been out of the hospital, but this is not the way that I would have chosen to lose any kind of weight. But one of the things that they did was that they had one of the neurologists from the group that I see here, they had him come and see me, and so they ran a bunch of tests. And one of the things that I was completely not aware of was that so for those of you that don't know, I have epilepsy and I've had it for 23, 24 years. The epilepsy medicine that I am on, or was on, one of the side effects of it is pancreatitis. Now, it's a very small amount of people that are susceptible to getting pancreatitis as a result of it. It was interesting though, because I went and I saw a GI specialist this week, and he was like looking into it, and he said it's something like, he said it's like 2 in 1,000 that can get it. And he goes, actually from a medical point of view, he goes, that's pretty high. That's a pretty high rate of people getting pancreatitis from this medicine. So he was like, yeah, that is, you know, whatever. So what they did was they switched me from the medicine that I was on to another medicine, which that was one of the reasons why I had to be in the hospital, because they had to monitor the switching of me going from one neurological medication to another neurological medication. And that was one of the things that they had to do. The other thing was that they did x-rays of my stomach, because I had been having stomach pain for the last couple months, and they didn't believe that it was related to the pancreatitis. They believed that the pancreatitis was just something that happened, like, you know, it just kind of came out of nowhere. But they couldn't really figure out why I was having this ongoing stomach pain. So they did these x-rays of my stomach. The first one came back pretty inconclusive, but the second one, when it came back, like I said, sensitive issues, okay, showed that I had compacted stool in my colon, and that it was quite a bit, and it was quite a bit of compacted stool that I had that just wasn't moving and it wasn't going anywhere. That was contributing probably to a lot of my stomach pains. So they put me on all kinds of stuff in the hospital. I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know. They sent me home on Miralax, which the GI specialist the other day said to me was like very safe, and people think it's like a laxative that's gonna like move stuff like that, but it really doesn't, and it's just, you can be on it for a very long time. But they had me on several other things in the hospital to kind of move my system, but it just really wasn't at all. And so the whole time that I was in the hospital, I was like in a lot of pain. And in fact, even the last day, I mean, I wasn't having a bowel movement. Nothing was happening. I mean, for like almost like 2 weeks. And so they really wanted me to start eating the last day. And it was just like anytime I would think about eating, it would make me really, really sick to my stomach, to the point where I just was like, I would order something and I couldn't even like eat it. So I got out of the hospital. When they released me from the hospital, their plan was that they wanted me to follow up and see my primary care physician. They wanted me to see a GI specialist. And then they wanted me to continue on this neurological medication that they had changed me to and things like that. And they said that things would probably get better. But one of the things that they said was, because of the compacted stool, that my stomach might continue to hurt over the period of the next couple of, weeks or whatever. And so days or weeks. And so, and with the lingering pancreatitis, which, it's interesting because I've had a lot of people say like, oh, my husband had pancreatitis and it was over in 3 days. And I've had other people say, oh, my husband had pancreatitis and it was over in 6 months and it took forever for the pain to go away. And it's really per person. Like, there is no kind of like length of how it goes away. The pain from my pancreatitis, I will say, is gone at this point. But they released me on pain medication, which again, I was not happy about because I didn't, so my plan was and goal was to get off of it as soon as I could. But then when I was off of it, what happened was that my stomach was hurting so bad, and then I was nauseous all of the time. And they eventually, my nurse practitioner had to put me on Zofran. So if you don't know what Zofran is, it's supposed to stop nausea and vomiting. I was vomiting a lot. I was having dry heaves a lot, and still up till 2 days ago was having a lot of that. And so I went and saw the GI specialist on Thursday. He thinks that things are healing and that things are going in the right direction, and he thinks that it's just going to take time for things to get better for me, and that at this point the pancreatitis is healing and that it's pretty much healed and that it's on its going forward. And he said at this point what's really going on is the stomach issues with the compacted stool and getting that out and moving that forward. And then as I go forward, eating a more like clear, clean diet and eating healthier, which is something that I need to be doing anyway, and being more active and exercising and getting into health and things like that, which, I already knew that I needed to be doing. So that's kind of where we're at today. I'm just really, really exhausted every day that I wake up. I've been going to bed like pretty early. I think it was 2 nights ago. I went to bed at like 8 o'clock and I woke up at 2, and then I watched TV. I've been watching a lot of TV. I'm actually going to make a video on my Peter Does Stuff channel talking about all the shows I've watched. I've been watching a lot of Below Deck, Mediterranean. I've been binge watching that series. But I've been going to bed. Like last night I went to bed at like 9. and I woke up at like 10 o'clock today. And so I've just been needing a lot of rest. You know, one of the things I want to say is that I know this is not a chronic illness. I know that this is something that I will get over and that I will be back to feeling my best again. I know that. I'm aware of that. But I do have a new sense of awareness for people that are chronically ill. And I know that there are a lot of you out there that watch my channel because you've written to me and messaged me and told me your stories. You know, one of the things that I really felt during all of this, especially when I couldn't film because I wanted to film and I didn't feel like it, one of the things was that I really felt a sense of uselessness because even just to like clean the kitchen took a lot, you know? And I also felt a sense of hopelessness because I wasn't getting a lot of answers. And what I mean by that is that when I went to the emergency room, they told me one thing. When I came back, they told me something else. When I went into the hospital, they told me something else. From each doctor that I would see in the emergency room, no matter how fantastic they were, and you know, and I know that a lot of medicine is guesswork, but like from each person to the next, you know, even when I went to my nurse practitioner and my primary care physician, it was like, they told me different things. And then I went to my GI specialist. My GI specialist was like, oh, it's gonna be great, everything. It was like from one person to the next. It was like each diagnosis, each situation was completely different. And there's a hopelessness that comes with that. It's like, if you would just tell me that this, and this, and then we're gonna do this, and this, then things are going to get better. But like I said, I know that medicine is not an exact science, and that's one of the things that I've learned. But I had a sense of uselessness where I just like, you know, Alex would text me every day from work and he would say, you know, how are you doing today? And I just say, well, I mean, I've watched 6 episodes of Below Deck, and I would just start crying and I would feel like, what am I doing with my life, you know? And thank God, and I just want to say this, you know, like, we don't talk about this as YouTubers or influencers, which I hate that word, or content creators or whatever, but like, thank God that I have a job that I'm able to take off 3 weeks at a time, you know, like, I mean, I felt so blessed that there were so many people that were like, we'll be there for you when you come back, we'll watch your videos, we're waiting for you, take as much time as you need, because that was scary to me, you know, like, I feel so blessed to have a job, to be able to call this a job, first of all, to do something that I love to do on a daily basis and just trust, okay? I have been watching the drama going on, and there have been videos that I've been wanting to make, right? To just not feel your best to be able to do that, but in the same sense, to be able to have this amazing job that you are able to take 3 or 4 weeks off, you know? We're a blessed crew out there. And I think sometimes it's probably why I do get frustrated with people that complain about YouTube and their job on TikTok and things like that. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that I was able to take this time off and to heal and to relax. And thank you for all of you out there that encouraged me to do that. Because there were days that I just was like, I felt like my life was pointless and I wasn't doing anything and I needed to be back and pushing through and whatever. I have such a sense of awareness, like I wanted to say, for those of you out there that suffer with chronic illness. Of course, I will never understand what you truly go through on a daily basis. But I do think that that sense of uselessness and that hopelessness that I felt, I'm sure is just a small part of what you feel on a daily basis, on a regular basis. And I can't even imagine going through that and knowing that that's something that you're going to be suffering for, you know, a very, very long time. And for those of you out there, I want you to know that my eyes have been opened, and I want to send prayers and positivity to you as well. So that's where I'm at. Planning on coming back. Tomorrow I am planning on making a drama video if I'm feeling up to par. So thank you guys so much for all the support and love. I appreciate, like I said, I can't even express to you how much I appreciate all the love and the support and the kindness and the compassion that you have given me. It really does make a difference. And in a world of so much negativity and so much harshness and so much offensiveness and so much, dare I say, hatred You know, those small sentiments really do, really do affect positive change, and I want to thank you for it. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.